The kitchen smelled like nothing. That was the first thing my granddaughter noticed when she walked through my front door without calling first. No coffee, no toast, no soup on the stove, just cold, stale air and silence. She found me sitting at the dining table in the dark, still wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at a stack of unopened mail. "Grandma," she whispered, her voice cracking, "why are you sitting in the dark? And why does this house smell like nobody lives here?" Before I could answer, she opened the refrigerator. The light from inside lit up her face, and I watched her expression change. There was a jar of mustard, a bottle of water, and nothing else. She turned to me slowly. "Grandma, you get $8,500 every month from your pension. Where is all of it going?" And that question, spoken aloud in my own kitchen, was the first honest thing I had heard in 3 years. "My name is Dorothy Calloway. I am 76 years old. I spent 30 years working as a court clerk in the county courthouse. I filed motions, processed warrants, organized evidence logs. I understood paperwork better than most lawyers I worked alongside. I retired with a full state pension, a house that was paid off, and $140,000 in savings. I was not a woman who got confused by documents, but I was a woman who loved her son more than she loved caution. 3 years ago, my son Kevin told me he was worried about me living alone. He said the neighborhood was changing. He said managing finances at my age was stressful. He said his wife Diane used to work at an insurance company and understood money management perfectly. He said, "Mom, let us help, just until you feel comfortable again." I felt fine, but Kevin had a way of making concern sound like love, and I did not want to be a burden. So I agreed. Diane set up online banking. She changed the passwords for security purposes, she said. She asked me to sign a few papers so she could handle transfers if I ever got sick. She said it was standard. I signed them in my living room while Kevin made coffee, and Diane smiled at me from across the table. That was the beginning. My granddaughter Lily stood in my kitchen now, 3 years later, holding an empty ice tray like evidence. "Grandma," she said again, quieter this time, "when was the last time you went grocery shopping?" I thought carefully. "Diane brings groceries every 2 weeks, I said. "She picks what I need." Lily opened the pantry. A box of crackers and 2 cans of soup sat on the bottom shelf. "This is what she brings you." I looked down. "It used to be more," I admitted. "But she said prices went up and we needed to budget carefully." Lily put the ice tray down slowly. She pulled out a chair and sat directly in front of me. She took both of my hands in hers, and I noticed her jaw was tight, the same way her mother used to look before saying something important. "Grandma, $8,500 a month is more than enough for one person. Prices did not go up that much. Something is wrong." I wanted to argue. I wanted to protect Kevin. He was my son. I remembered him as a little boy sitting on my lap while I read him stories. I remembered driving him to college, crying the whole way home. I remembered the pride in his eyes when he bought his first car. But Lily was looking at me with the same steady gaze I used to have when I sorted case files. She was not asking for permission. She was stating a fact. Just then, the front door opened. Diane walked in carrying a small grocery bag. She stopped when she saw Lily. "What are you doing here?" Diane asked, her voice sharp. Lily stood up slowly. "Visiting my grandmother." "Is that a problem?" Diane forced a smile. "Of course not. I just was not expecting you." She placed the bag on the counter. Inside was a loaf of bread, a carton of eggs, and a bag of rice. That was it. Lily stared at the bag. "That is what you bring her? For 2 weeks?" Diane's smile tightened. "Dorothy does not eat much. She prefers simple meals." Lily turned to me. "Is that true, Grandma?" I hesitated. The truth was that I used to love cooking. I used to make pot roast on Sundays. I used to bake pies for the church fundraiser. I used to invite neighbors over for dinner. But slowly, over 3 years, my world had gotten smaller. The dinners stopped. The baking stopped. The neighbors stopped coming because I stopped inviting them. I had not bought new clothes in 2 years. My church friends thought I was sick because I never joined them for lunch anymore. When I asked Diane for money to fix the leaking bathroom faucet, she told me it was not a priority. "I used to love cooking," I said quietly. That sentence broke something open. Lily turned to Diane, and her voice dropped low and steady. "I want to see her bank statements. All of them. Going back 3 years. Diane crossed her arms. That is none of your business. Kevin and I manage her finances. Everything is in order. Then showing me should be easy, Lily replied. Diane's face changed. The polite mask slipped for just a moment, and underneath I saw something I had not allowed myself to see before. Fear. Kevin handles the details, Diane said quickly. Talk to him. Lily already had her phone out. She dialed Kevin. He answered on the second ring. Hey Lily, what is going on? I am at Grandma's house, Lily said calmly. She has no food. Her faucet is broken. And I want to see her financial records. There was a pause. Then Kevin's voice came back, lighter, almost laughing. Lily, come on. Mum is fine. Diane takes care of everything. Then you will not mind if we go to the bank tomorrow and review the account together. Another pause, longer this time. When Kevin spoke again, the laughter was gone. That is not necessary. The accounts are structured in a specific way. It would be confusing. Lily looked at me. Structured how? Look, Kevin said, his voice getting tight. Mum signed everything willingly. We are protecting her assets. You are overreacting. Lily reached into her purse and pulled out a small hair clip. It was gold. Delicate. Something I had given her on her 16th birthday. She unclipped it, placed it gently on my kitchen table, and pulled her hair back into a tight knot. It was a small gesture, but I recognized it. She was preparing for something. Kevin, she said firmly. Tomorrow morning. The bank. 9 o'clock. All of us. Kevin's breathing was audible through the phone. Fine, he said flatly, but you are wasting everyone's time. The call ended. Diane grabbed her purse. This is ridiculous, she muttered. We have done nothing wrong. She left without saying goodbye. The door closed hard behind her. Lily immediately opened her laptop on my kitchen table. Grandma, do you still have access to your email? I shook my head. Diane changed the password a year ago. She said there were security concerns. Lily exhaled slowly. What about paper statements from the bank? I pointed to the stack of unopened mail on the table. I stopped opening them. Diane said she reviewed everything online, and there was no need. Lily started opening envelopes, one by one. 15 minutes later, she looked up at me with an expression I will never forget. Grandma, she said slowly, your checking account has $87 in it. I felt the room tilt slightly. That cannot be right. Lily turned the statement toward me. 3 years of deposits. $8,500 every month. Ah. 3 cents. Cease. 0 total. And almost all of it had been transferred out, every single month, to an account I did not recognize. Do you know what this account number is? Lily asked. I shook my head. Lily pulled up her phone and searched for the routing number. Her face went pale. It is a business account, she said quietly. Registered to something called Callaway Property Ventures, Kevin's company. He had started a real estate investment firm 2 years ago. He told me it was doing well. He told me he had properties in 3 states. He told me I would be proud of him. $306,000, Lily whispered. He funneled almost all of your pension into his business. My hands gripped the edge of the table. I thought about the leaking faucet, the empty pantry, the Sunday pot roasts that disappeared from my life, the church lunches I stopped attending because I had no money for my share, the birthday gift I could not buy for my great-grandchild last year because Diane said it was not in the budget, with $8,500 coming in every month. That night, Lily stayed over. She ordered groceries and cooked me a real dinner for the first time in months. I sat at my table and cried while the smell of garlic and butter filled my kitchen. Grandma, Lily said gently while stirring, why did you not tell anyone? Because I thought I was helping him, I whispered, and because I was ashamed that I could not figure it out on my own. You worked in a courthouse for 30 years. You are one of the sharpest people I know. This is not about being smart or foolish. This is about trust being broken by someone you love. We ate together. Lily checked every room afterward. She noticed things I had stopped seeing. The thermostat was set to 58 degrees. The hot water heater was turned to the lowest setting. The cable had been disconnected months ago. Diane had told me it was a service outage. After dinner, Lily sat across from me. Grandma, I need to ask you something important. Did you ever sign a power of attorney? I closed my eyes. That day in the living room. The coffee Kevin made. Diane's smile. The stack of papers. I had signed where they pointed. I think so, I said. But I remember asking what it was for, and Kevin said it was only for emergencies. Lily's jaw tightened. A power of attorney gives them legal authority over your finances. But even with that, they are required to act in your best interest. Using your pension to fund a business is not your best interest. I nodded slowly. Something cold settled in my stomach, but something warm rose beside it. Clarity. The next morning, Lily drove me to the bank. I had not been inside in over a year. Diane always said there was no need. The branch manager, a woman named Sandra Mitchell, welcomed us into her office. "Mrs. Calloway," she said warmly. "It has been a long time." I smiled weakly. "Too long." Lily spoke clearly. "We need a complete transaction history for my grandmother's pension account. The past 3 years." Sandra nodded and began typing. After a moment, she paused. She looked at the screen again. Then she looked at me. "Mrs. Calloway, there have been 34 transfers totaling $298,000 from your pension account to a commercial business account over the past 3 years. I gripped the armrest of my chair. Sandra continued, "The current balance in your pension account is $87.41. Lily's voice stayed controlled. "Under what authorization were those transfers made?" Sandra clicked through several screens. "There is a financial power of attorney on file, signed by you, granting authority to Kevin Calloway and Diane Calloway." She paused. "However, Mrs. Calloway, I should note that several of these transfers were flagged internally due to their size and frequency. Documentation provided by Mr. Calloway described them as retirement asset rebalancing." "Retirement asset rebalancing," Lily repeated slowly. "Into a real estate company." Sandra looked uncomfortable. The documentation appeared standard at the time. "My grandmother has $87 to her name," Lily said, "and an empty refrigerator. That is not standard." Sandra took a breath. "You have every right to file a formal investigation request. That would trigger a review of all transfers and potentially freeze the receiving account pending findings." Lily looked at me. "Grandma, I thought about Kevin. I thought about the little boy who used to hold my hand crossing the parking lot outside the courthouse. I thought about the man who smiled at me while I signed papers. I trusted him to explain honestly." "Do it," I said. My voice did not shake. Sandra printed the forms. I signed every one. My handwriting was steady. 30 years of signing court documents had trained my hand well. As we walked out of the bank, my phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. "What did you just do?" I showed Lily. She read it, then typed a reply from my phone. The truth. 20 minutes later, Kevin was standing in my living room. Diane was beside him. His face was red. His hands were balled into fists at his sides. "You had no right," he said to Lily. "She had no right," Lily corrected, pointing at Diane. "To take $298,000 from a 6-year-old woman." Diane spoke quickly. "We invested it. The returns will come. Real estate takes time." "How much time?" Lily asked. "You have been at this for 2 years. How many properties have you actually sold?" Kevin looked away. Diane pressed on. "The market shifted. There were delays. We are close to closing 3 deals right now." Lily opened her laptop. "I looked up Calloway Property Ventures last night. Your business license was suspended 4 months ago for unpaid fees. You have 2 lawsuits from contractors you never paid, and there are no active property listings under your name anywhere." The room went silent. Kevin sat down heavily on the couch. Diane remained standing, but her confidence had cracked. "It was not supposed to go this way," Kevin said quietly. "Then how was it supposed to go?" I asked. He looked at me with red eyes. "I thought one big deal would fix everything. Martin showed me projections." "Martin?" Lily asked immediately. "Who is Martin?" Diane stiffened visibly. Kevin rubbed his face. "Martin Reeves, a real estate consultant. He brought us the deals. He structured the financing." Lily wrote down the name. "And did Martin know where the money was coming from?" Kevin did not answer. That silence told me everything. Lily pulled up Martin Reeves on her phone. She read quietly for a moment, then looked up. "Martin Reeves has been named in 2 previous lawsuits for advising clients to use family members' retirement funds as operating capital for speculative real estate deals. One case resulted in a judgment against him." Kevin's face went white. He told me it was standard practice, he whispered. It was not, Lily said firmly. It was a pattern. I stood up from my chair. Everyone looked at me. Kevin, I said. How much do you owe? He could not meet my eyes. Diane answered. $340,000 in total liabilities. The number hung in the air. More than everything I had earned in my pension over 3 years. And my house? I asked. Both of them went still. Diane looked at the floor. Kevin swallowed hard. Mum, he started. Did you use my house as collateral? I asked plainly, the way I used to ask attorneys to clarify their filings at the courthouse. Kevin's voice was barely audible. Martin said it was the only way to secure the bridge loan. He said the deal would close in 60 days and the lien would be released. How long ago was that? Lily asked. 7 months. So the deal did not close. Silence. And the lender holds a lien against my grandmother's home, Lily continued. A home she owns outright. A home that was supposed to be her security for the rest of her life. Kevin broke then. Not dramatically. Not loudly. He just put his head in his hands and stopped speaking. Diane started crying. We were trying to build something for the family, she said through tears. Lily looked at her steadily. She is the family. And she has $87. I walked to the kitchen. I opened the refrigerator. The groceries Lily bought the night before filled the shelves. I stared at them for a long moment. Then I walked back to the living room. Here is what is going to happen, I said. My voice was calm and clear, the same voice I used for 30 years when judges needed order in their courtrooms. First, I am revoking the power of attorney today. Lily will drive me to my attorney's office this afternoon. Kevin looked up. Mum, please. Second, I continued. I am filing a complaint with the district attorney's office regarding the unauthorized use of my pension funds and the collateral placement of my home. Diane gasped. Dorothy. No, that means criminal charges. It means accountability, I said. Third, I want Martin Reeves named in every filing. If he advised this scheme knowingly, he will answer for it. Kevin stood up slowly. Mum, if you go to the DA, everything falls apart. I could face prison. I looked at my son. I saw the little boy. I also saw the man who let me sit in the dark with an empty refrigerator while spending my life savings on a business that never existed in any real way. You made choices, Kevin. Every month for 3 years, you transferred my money and never told me the truth. You watched me cut back on everything. You watched Diane bring me bread and rice and call it groceries. You watched me stop living my life. My voice did not waver. I am not doing this because I want revenge. I am doing this because if I do not, the next person Martin Reeves targets will not have a granddaughter who shows up unannounced on a Tuesday night. Kevin and Diane left an hour later. Lily drove me to my attorney, a woman named Patricia Chen whom I had known from my courthouse days. Patricia reviewed everything within the week. The power of attorney was revoked immediately. A formal complaint was filed with the county district attorney. The bank investigation confirmed that $298,000 had been transferred without documentation that met fiduciary standards. Martin Reeves was subpoenaed. When investigators examined his records, they found 3 other elderly clients whose retirement funds had been funneled into the same network of failing real estate ventures. He had been running the same scheme for years, targeting adult children who were desperate for business success and parents who trusted too much to ask questions. Martin was charged with financial exploitation of vulnerable adults across 2 counties. The lender who held the lien on my house cooperated with investigators once they realized the collateral paperwork contained misrepresentations. The lien was released. My house was safe. Kevin pleaded guilty to misuse of fiduciary authority. The judge, someone I had worked with years ago, ordered restitution, community service, and probation. He was not sent to prison, but his business was dissolved, and he was barred from holding power of attorney over anyone for life. I did not celebrate any of it. The day Kevin stood in that courtroom, I sat in the gallery and cried. Not because I was sad for myself, but because I remembered the boy who used to bring me dandelions from the backyard and call them roses. Diane filed for divorce 6 months later. She blamed Kevin for everything, but the court record showed she had co-signed every transfer and had been the one managing the online banking passwords. She was named as a co-respondent in the restitution order. Slowly, month by month, my life came back. The $8,500 started arriving again, and I saw every statement. I fixed the faucet. I turned the heat back up. I rejoined my church group. I started cooking Sunday dinners again. Lily came over every Wednesday evening. We would sit at the kitchen table with the lights on and the oven warm and talk about everything and nothing. One evening, Lily noticed the gold hair clip still sitting on the table where she had placed it that first night. She picked it up and smiled. "I forgot about this," she said. "I did not," I replied. She looked at me. "Grandma, you know what the real lesson was?" I waited. "Silence does not keep peace," she said. "It just gives other people permission to take more." I nodded slowly. "And trust is not a weakness," I added. "But trusting without verifying is." She clipped the gold clip back into her hair and helped me clear the dishes. If you are listening to this and something feels wrong in your life, if someone you love is making decisions you do not fully understand, if your world has gotten smaller and you cannot explain why, please hear me. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk into a bank and demand to see your own money. Age does not take away your voice. Silence does. And the bravest thing I ever did was not going to the authorities. It was opening my mouth at my own kitchen table and saying 3 words I should have said 3 years earlier. Show me everything. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Because sometimes courage does not look like fighting. Sometimes it looks like a grandmother standing up in her own living room and deciding that enough is enough.